We acknowledge that the United States of America and Israel are settler colonial states that have embraced the erasure of the original people of the land through the violence of resource extraction,
That have embraced the erasure of the original.
Land theft, displacement, family separation, and genocide. It is important to acknowledge the through line of settler colonialism here on Turtle Island and around the world, and its continuing impact on the land that Indigenous peoples have stewarded for more than 12,000 years. We have benefited from that system. We live on these lands today. We must be mindful that we are that impact. We say the land acknowledgement not as some performative gesture, but as an opportunity to reflect, unlearn, decolonize, and grapple with these truths and put the wisdom that we've earned to work. Today, and for these past 8 horrifying months, we have had all eyes on Palestine. We recognize Palestinians as Indigenous peoples with an irrefutable connection and right to their ancestral land. We recognize Israel as an illegal settler colonial state that has inflicted a permanent, hostile, and belligerent occupation and apartheid, and continues to inflict immeasurable, incomprehensible violence upon the Palestinian people. At this event, and every day, we demand the US government divest from death. When Palestine is free, so are we. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, good evening, and welcome. I'd like to give you the run of show tonight. We will hear from tonight's guests, including Katton, Kwame Shakur, Ajamu Baraka, and Briahna Joy Gray. Then we'll get into fundraising and end with a few minutes of Q&A. My name is Kelly Merrill, and I'm the Deputy Campaign Manager for presidential candidate and Green Party presumptive nominee, Dr. Jill Stein. She's a fierce defender of human rights, and the kinds of people who are gravitating to this campaign and supporting this campaign is a further indicator of the power of this movement and the importance of using the presidential race as a vehicle for the just and livable future we all deserve. Tonight, I'd like you to meet some of the amazing activists we journey with and who support this campaign, whether around Palestine or Black liberation, electoral politics, or journalism. These incredible truth tellers, these incredible human beings are all, without exception, heroes of this team and of this movement. When we think about the land acknowledgement and how we take action to mitigate the harms of settler colonial states, for this campaign, it means being very intentional about where we are putting our political power. I met our first speaker, Adam Katton, on my first road trip of the campaign back in early February when we attended a presidential forum at the Muslim Civic Coalition. Since October 7th, Adam has devoted his life to trying to help the Palestinian people in any way he can. He raised $50,000 for Gaza refugees who escaped to Turkey, but were then being mistreated. He got 30 Illinois state representatives and senators to sign off on the Jewish Voices for Peace ceasefire resolution. 4 of them were Republicans. He is the co-founder of the Peoria for Palestine Coalition and a summer intern for the Muslim Civic Coalition. He is 15 years old. Please join me in warmly welcoming one of the most impactful activists and organizers I know, and a good friend, Brother Adam.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adam Katton. I hope you guys can all hear me okay. So I'm so glad to be here and speak in honor of Dr. Jill Stein because we finally have someone who is here supporting the Palestinian people. Now, my work is I'm 15, I'm going up to sophomore year. I live in a city called Peoria, Illinois. It's about the 3rd biggest city outside of the Chicago area in Illinois. And basically my work that I do is I go to the Springfield Capitol, Illinois State Capitol, and what I do is I talk to our politicians, our state representatives, and our state senators, and I try seeing their opinions on the conflict. Many of them are obviously not in support of the conflict, and many of them are in support of the conflict. And my main goal is to just inform them, because that's my job. My job is to inform them that there is a conflict going on and that there is more than one side on this conflict. Not only the side that social media has been showing, like the news and CNN, Fox News, and all these other media sources. So basically, that's the work that I've been doing. I went to Congress about a week ago. I spoke with a couple congressional officials, and I mean that's the track that I'm going on, and hopefully going to be able to inform many people. Now, one of the main things that I'm really focused on now is getting Dr. Jill Stein on the ballot of Illinois. Many people ask me, why she's probably not going to become president or whatever, this, and that. I mean, there's many big reasons of why we need Dr. Jill Stein to be on this ballot and why we just need her to become president in general. Well, first off, why she should be on this ballot is because, I mean, we finally have someone who can debate against those three monsters who completely, give me one second. I'm so sorry. We finally have a presidential candidate who can debate against those three monsters who keep attacking the Palestinian people, who keep dehumanizing the Palestinian people. Obviously, in Trump's term, he gave the capital of Jerusalem to Israel, and in Biden's term, he slaughtered more than 50,000 Gaza people, and those are the only ones that are recorded. Who knows the amount of people who aren't recorded? So if we can finally have someone up there telling them that you monsters, everything that you guys are doing is completely terrible, it's completely outrageous and everything, that's one of the main reasons why we need her. That's one of the main reasons why we need Dr. Jill Stein to finally be able to help speak for us Palestinian people. Because if you're a Palestinian, if you're an Arab who supports the Palestinian cause, then it would make no sense for you guys to go for Joe Biden or Donald Trump, because when we finally have someone who's speaking out for us and we're just going to ignore that, then that's just a disgrace. That's just terrible. We finally have someone, and I keep repeating it because it's something that not a lot of people understand, that this hasn't always happened throughout history. We haven't always had people on our side. We have been dehumanized for multiple generations. And now that we finally have someone who is standing up for us, we're just going to completely ignore that and look at the lower of the two evils. No, that's completely unacceptable. And if you are a Palestinian, and if you are a Palestinian supporter, then you know the truth. And the truth is to go for Dr. Jill Stein by any way you can, whether that's petitioning for her to get on any sort of ballot, whether that's voting for her, or whether that's funding her, whether that's donating to her. Please, we need your help to finally get someone to speak against those three fascists. Because I believe all three of those guys are fascists. All three of those guys, they might say they're Democrat, Republican, and even that one guy might say he's an independent, but they all believe the same thing. And they're all targeting the same ideologies. We have someone who finally considers something different, who finally is going for something different, and we need her to stand for us, and we need to be on her side, and we need to support her. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Adam. I think that you are in good company. We definitely share your outrage, and you're getting a lot of love in the chat. You are very young to have such an incredibly powerful voice, and we need you. We need you in this fight, in this struggle, and there's no one I'd rather be in the struggle with. Next, I would like to introduce Jason Call. He is the campaign manager of an amazing team. I love our team. He is a candidate himself in Washington State. He is my comrade. He is my brother. We have been assaulted and arrested together, and his energy and his passion and devotion to these issues and to everyone on this team is endless. I'd love to welcome Jason Call.
Thank you so much. Just let me check my volume. Can everybody hear me okay? coming to you from a hotel room, so you never know how these things are going to go. Yeah, thank you, Kelly. My name is Jason Call. I am a candidate in Washington's 2nd District, proud Green Party member, running potentially to be the first Green member of Congress. Very honored and humbled to be in a leadership position in Dr. Jill Stein's campaign. I believe our team is running on all cylinders. We're running flat out. We're putting everything we can, morning, noon, and night, into ensuring that this campaign succeeds. Kelly and I are on the road right now. We are coming to you from Nashville. And just as a quick recap, we started in Indianapolis. We went to Chicago. We went out to Washington, D.C. to participate in the Red Line, hold the Red Line rally for Palestine, where we saw Adam out there. Then we went back to Chicago. We went to Fort Wayne, Indiana for a couple of days because we are petitioning hard in Illinois and Indiana. And Adam is helping with that, and the guest that I'm going to introduce in a second is going to be helping us, or is helping us with that also. Extremely passionate people who understand the importance of this movement and the importance of getting Dr. Stein on the ballot everywhere. We were in just outside of Lexington, Kentucky last night, and tonight we're coming to you from Nashville, and then tomorrow we're heading down to Birmingham and Huntsville, Alabama, where we will be participating in Juneteenth celebrations and recognitions for that extremely important holiday. So it is my honor, my pleasure to be joining you tonight at this fundraiser. And I do want to remind everybody that this is a fundraiser because we are a grassroots campaign, and we do need your dollars to make sure that we succeed. This doesn't all run on passion and love. It does take some money. So I am extremely honored to introduce somebody who I now consider a friend, really only just met over the last week. And we had such a great first in-person meeting in Chicago, where Kwame and others have committed to, as I said, help Jill with their people, their community, to get out on the streets in Illinois. So Kwame Shakur is the chairman of the Black Liberation Party. He was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, now resides in Tampa, Florida. At the tender age of 19 years old, he robbed a bank and was sentenced to 39 years in prison, initially before giving back 5 years and serving 18 years. He was released from prison in March 1st, 2016, and returned to the medium security prison called Society. In November 2021, he published his autobiography titled My Search for Answer, Truth, and Meaning, the autobiography of Kwame Shakur, and did 2 book tours with the elder Hy Thurman, co-founder of the Young Patriots organization and the first Rainbow Coalition that was founded April 4th, 1969. They did the Principal Unity Book Tour on the West Coast, October 2022, and the Principal Unity Book Tour on the East Coast, March and April 2023. After a number of fits and starts, Kwame founded the Black Liberation Party and its mass-based organization, the Black Liberation Circle, on January 4th of 2024. They have built an alliance with a number of street organizations and community tribes such as Growth and Development, the Almighty Vice Lord Nation, and Almighty Vice People of Moorish Moabites of America. By way of the Second Rainbow Coalition, he has done the same with the revolutionaries of his generation. Frantz Fanon, and if you haven't read Frantz Fanon, you should, once said that each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. Kwame believes our generation's mission is to fulfill the 400-year pursuit of Black liberation and self-determination that our ancestors in the African diaspora first set out upon centuries ago. And so without further ado, please welcome Kwame Shakur, and he will tell you about himself and why he is supporting Jill Stein in this all-important election. Kwame, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be on here. I'm actually very honored. There's some very distinguished guests on here. Ajamu Baraka, big fan of him, very strong revolutionary comrade, always speak the truth to power. One of the people that I follow myself. So I've been on one panel with you. It's always an honor to be on here, my brother. I want to say, give a big shout out to Ajamu Katton, 15 years old, well-spoken. When I was 15 years old, I was playing video games. It wasn't on nothing political. You know what I mean? So to have you on here to speak truth to power and speak so strong with confidence, we need the youth out here. You are the leaders of the new generation. It is your generation that's going to transform this country. You dig what I'm saying? So having individuals like on you here with us, it's an honor to be on here with you, my young brother. You know what I mean? So before I start, I want to just say today really highlights why I'm supporting Jill Stein. One of my comrades up here in Milwaukee was killed today. You dig what I'm saying? Roz, her name is spelled Rozz, was killed this morning at 4 a.m. And the pigs is already covering it up. The Ring doorbell camera was erased. Like we've been dealing with in this country. You know what I mean? And this is one of the all of us or none Wisconsin comrades that I organized with. Inc. You know what I mean? This has always been real. Y'all see, I'm in my work clothes. I was trying to hurry up and get back so I could have my keffiyeh on and be a little bit more presentable. But I'm really grassroots, like in the trenches. You know what I mean? But this highlights why I support Jill Stein. Like we've been dealing with genocide over here. It's been a slow genocide over here against Black and new African people over in this country for a long time. We was like one of the first colonized peoples brought over here under a slave colony and oppressed for 400 years. You know what I mean? And we still being oppressed. When we deal with the fact that when a person like Roz gets murdered and the police covers it up, we all understand in the streets that the police work against our community to keep us destabilized. This is not by this design. We know the police be out here selling drugs and putting drugs in our community. We know police being here, and some of us experience police brutality. I've been jumped on by the police. You know what I mean? Like nobody has to like lecture the lumpen proletariat, the wretched of the earth. We live this experience. This is not no theoretical understanding, something that's abstract. We live in the nightmare of what Malcolm X once said. This ain't no American dream to us. This always been an American nightmare to us. So to have somebody like Jill Stein that can connect with someone like me, that did 19 years in prison, went in there and educated themselves and understood what this empire really stands for. And it's not freedom and spreading freedom and democracy. It's about spreading imperialism. It's about establishing settler colonial states like Israel to oppress people and commit genocide, and been doing that for 75 years. That's been doing this in the Congo, where millions of us already been genocide. Millions. Our people has been an invisible people around the world for a long time. So when I woke up in prison and recognized that what has really been going on, and the fact that I'm in prison because we were sent to these colonial schools that really just prepared us for prison. Like the school to prison pipeline, that's by design that comes to our community, Black, brown, and indigenous communities every day. Like I have this rawness of me, this raw, uncut aspect of me, because I experience it every day. Nothing theoretical. This ain't something just in my mind. I know people that's been killed by the police. I've seen people beat by the police. You know what I'm saying? So for me, this is like very tangibly something that I support, because we need to change. We need to change this system. But we got to understand the power of the people. And the power of the people is what they always try to keep away from us. We had the first time in history where we can utilize the power of the people to transform the social conditions in our community, to stop the genocide that's even happening here. That's why we support Palestine. All power to the people. That's why we support Jill Stein as well.
Thank you so much, Kwame. Left a little speechless, and I think just need a second. I'm so sorry to hear about your friend. And thank you for speaking truth and sharing your story and sharing your thoughts. I'm really glad that we are together tonight and in community with one another. It's a great honor to be here with you.
Thank you so much, Kwame. I want to echo what Kelly said here. Your story is powerful, and it's not just your story, it's the story of millions of people in this country who have been downtrodden and dismissed and, in many ways, flat out lied about as people, for the purposes of white supremacy. I think we, from my perspective, I want to draw the parallel to Gaza because, that's the genocide that is happening in front of our faces. And sometimes we say to ourselves, how could this atrocity be happening and forget that atrocities like that have been happening at the hands of imperialists and white supremacists for hundreds of years, with the genocide of indigenous people on the American continents, moving to the transatlantic slave trade, and the abuses that have been heaped on Black populations for literal centuries that have never been, people give lip service to it, but the repair that has been done has never happened. Nobody who is in power has been serious about that repair. And our commitment to you is, we're here to make those historic wrongs right. And it's going to take a lot of work, but we're here for it, and I know Jill is here for it. And I think when you hear her speak, and when we are in community with each other and talking with each other, I think we all feel together that we're here for it. So I appreciate you. I love what you had to say. It's painful, and I think people need to feel that pain. People need to hear that pain and feel that pain, or it's not going to get better. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say one more thing.
Please do.
It's crazy when I'm more of a threat now that I'm standing for the community than when I was a criminal. And I realized that they banned my book 3 weeks after it came out because they don't want what I have to say out here because it's going to educate people and keep them from going to prison. Think about that. COINTELPRO messes with people like us at the bottom. This right here, we believe this is COINTELPRO. They've been trying to divide us. This is the first time we bring the community tribes, the community organizations together that's in the streets, and they start becoming a solution to the problem. And these type of situation happens to keep us divided because they want to take us off track. They don't want us out here supporting this campaign. They did this today to try to undermine us from standing with Jill Stein and standing with this campaign. Like, this is real raw and cut for us. You know what I'm saying? But we stand in our ground and we're going to keep on doing positive stuff in the community. And we're going to still keep on supporting her because we know we have no choice. We have no choice. The Democrat and Republican Party are both fascist parties. I don't care if you talk about Biden or Donald Trump. They're both fascists. We see what Biden is doing over there in that Zionist settler colonial state. We see what Donald Trump wants to do. He wants to start a civil war here. Why Biden wants to start a World War III situation. We see what's going on. Just because we come from the bottom and we come from the lumpen proletariat class don't mean we not educated. You know what I'm saying? And that we can't contribute something to transforming history, that forever history will recognize our imprint on the change of this country. That's what we stand for, the grassroots and all Black, brown, and indigenous oppressed communities at the very bottom, the wretched of the earth, is standing with Jill Stein. We standing with Jill Stein. When they say vote or die, we recognize that's real. We gonna die either with Biden and we gonna die with Donald Trump. But if we vote for Jill Stein, we can actually transform these conditions and don't have to deal with this fascist state constantly brutalizing our people. But that's all I want to say. I know I'm a little frustrated today because our friend got killed and they're trying to divide us and we're sticking the course. We still sticking with Jill. We're going to stick the course, and we don't care if COINTELPRO keep on coming and killing off our members. We're going to still stay the course. We're not going back to criminality. They want us to turn back to criminality. But we're going to still keep on fighting for the people because we've transformed ourselves and we recognize that's our only way that we're going to get liberation and freedom.
Amen.
So all power to the people.
All power to the people. All power to the people. That's so powerful, Kwame. You're an inspiration, really. I feel it. I feel it all. So thank you. Thank you. I think we've got Jill joining us. There we go. So Jill, Kwame just really gave an amazing, deep, and passionate talk about where he is coming from in his life. And how circumstances have led him to support our campaign here, your campaign, your leadership. So it was extremely moving. So welcome, Jill. It's hard to try to catch my breath after that. Honestly, you know, you just don't know what to say after that. There's really nothing that can follow hearing that kind of experience. So I really look forward to working with Kwame in the future. And Jill, welcome. Jill just came to us from an abandoned Biden forum. I didn't get to watch the last 20 minutes, but the first half of it that I saw was, oh, Jill's got my name. Somebody please change Jill's name. So I hope you had a good time on the Abandoned Biden Forum. You were doing wonderfully the first 15, 20 minutes that I was listening to you. So, but now you get to introduce our third guest for the evening. I'll let you take it away for Mr. Ajamu Baraka.
I will do that. And I just want to give everybody a big thank you for being here tonight and for being a part of this movement, this struggle, this inspiration that you bring to the struggle. And I heard so much of that inspiration in just the few minutes that I caught from Kwame's talk. And, you know, our being here tonight has so much to do with joining forces with Kwame and the Poor People's Army and the many other grassroots, wonderful, inspired groups that we are basically joining forces with, the groups who really represent, I think the frontline communities with the wisdom of what this struggle is all about. And we were so unbelievably inspired by coming together with them, some of whom we've known before and some of whom we're just connecting recently, but it just feels so powerful to be working together. And I sincerely apologize for coming late. It's the nature of what shall we say, ballot access battles that we get dragged into the weeds here in the effort to fight them. And as part of that, we need to be working with the groups who can support us to fight this battle. I'll say more later, but the empire is pulling out all the stops to try to stop us. They do not want to see us getting together. The incredibly powerful movements that are coming together here between, the post-incarceration movement, the Black liberation movement, the African liberation movement, the healthcare as a human right movement, the anti-genocide movement, the indigenous rights movement. There are so many movements that are coming together that have just hit the wall and are really finding our way to a really powerful coalition that Kwame has spoken about. And our next guest is also going to say more about that. And this is someone that has been my role model in so many things, starting with especially the campaign that I was honored to run with him in 2016, where he showed me the way in so many ways, and just really built an incredibly powerful coalition across our movements. And coming out of that campaign, really focused in on the struggle against war and colonialism and white supremacy and the settler colonial state. And I have so much admiration and gratitude to Ajamu Baraka. And in fact, I'll let you in on something that I really wanted him to be running in the position that I stepped up to the plate for. And if I had had my way, he would be the candidate that we are rallying behind right now. But what can I say? He delivers a stronger argument than me, and he won the argument. So I stepped up to the plate, and it's just such an honor to have him here tonight, really weighing in publicly for the first time with our campaign. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the incredible Ajamu Baraka. So grateful that you're here, Ajamu. Take it away. See, we are not hearing you. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jill. It's really good to see you again. It's an honor to be here this evening for this very important event. We all know that it takes resources to challenge empire, and that is something that is dependent on us, the people. It's so good to be here, to be able to give my support to this effort. We have so many fond memories, at least I do, in terms of the efforts we made back in 2016. And I really want to take this opportunity to appreciate you once again, Jill, because I was talking with someone today about the difficulties, the challenges of being out here and running, of serving the people, and the kinds of attacks that one will find themselves under. And I remember that when we started that trek, that when you put me on the ticket, and the slings and arrows began to fly, you stood right next to me. You didn't waver one bit. And I really, really appreciate that. That's one of the reasons why I have such high regard and respect for you, and so much admiration for you, in fact, stepping up. Because, one of the things that I discovered being part of the campaign in 2016, and I sort of understood it from afar, looking at these campaigns over the course of the years, you have to have the dedication. You have to have the fire in the belly, if you will, to be out here and to do this work. And I can tell you folks from my experience, and I know the people who are working with you can verify this, there's no harder worker out there for the people than Jill Stein. Jill works, you know, you can't keep up with her. And not just the work, it's the discipline, it's the structure, the kinds of qualities that we need in someone who potentially can be occupying that position as the president of these United States. And it's important that we say that and believe in that possibility. If you support this campaign, you must believe in that possibility because all of the various factors have aligned themselves to make a run like this truly an historic one. Let me say this though before I go further. It's also an honor to be here with many, all of you, but to see young Adam, 15 years old, who seems to be crystal clear in terms of what needs to be done, in terms of not only supporting his community, but understanding that this is a long-term struggle to create the conditions where there will never be the kind of barbarity that we see unfolding in Gaza. And to salute my dear brother, Brother Kwame, and the work that he's been doing and the work that he will be doing as he's taken on the difficult task of building unity among elements that many people have dismissed, who don't believe that they can make the kinds of contributions that we know they can make and have made in the past. What's significant also about Brother Kwame's presentation is the fact that for many of us, this is not just a campaign to be out here doing something because it's sexy or it's fun or whatever. But this is a campaign that represents the hopes and aspirations of millions. And what are those hopes and aspirations? That there is a possibility that we can change fundamentally this society and indeed this world. It is a campaign that recognizes that for many of us, we have to be clear about why we are in this work because we are truly at war. It's heartbreaking to hear another comrade whose life was prematurely taken today. This is the reality of so many people in our communities and others. It's heartbreaking to watch every day the numbers go up in Gaza. It's heartbreaking to understand what is unfolding in the Sudan, to see the waste of lives in Ukraine, to know all of the people who are dying premature deaths because they have no health care in this society. So comrades like Adam and Kwame and all of you who put your faith in this, it is something that cannot be taken lightly. Because when we talk about organizing and struggling as though your life depends on it, that is not just some kind of abstract slogan. It is, in fact, a reality for millions of people around this world. We have, friends, a historic responsibility in this country, being at the center of empire. We understand that what happens in this country has a profound impact on millions, in fact, billions of people around the world. And so these kinds of efforts must be taken seriously. So we say tonight, friends, that if you're going to be part of this effort, make sure you understand that this is an effort that is going to demand. It's going to demand an effort similar to Jill. You're not going to be able to meet that probably, but we can all try. We have to be serious in this process because the struggle that we are involved in, this electoral struggle to bring to the population policies and new thinking goes beyond even the election. We recognize, I think everybody recognizes here, that this in fact is a struggle for power, okay? And if we're not able to capture power in terms of the state in November, we understand that that struggle continues. It continues because it has to continue. If we don't shift power away from these maniacs, then our survival is not certain. It's quite clear that the white supremacist colonial capitalists that control this state and indeed are still hegemonic in the world, they have made a determination that either they're going to maintain power or they're going to blow up the world. We have to shift power. We have to take power from these criminals. And we see all around us the examples. How could anybody have believed that we will be seeing in 2024 a live stream genocide? This is the kind of criminal behavior that's become normalized. These are the reasons why we have to struggle and struggle even beyond November 2024. It's about building power. So the degree in which the Stein campaign is made powerful, the Green Party becomes an even more effective apparatus, to the degree that we can build unity among progressives and radicals who have a conscience, that is the degree in which we are closer to the ultimate objective, and that is to build a new world, to transform ourselves and to transform our conditions. So again, it's an honor to be here. We are going to work hard to make this campaign successful. And we throw out the challenge that everybody join in this process. Because again, this is either we win or we are facing the possibility that we're not going to be able to survive as a human species. And we're not being overly dramatic with that. These freaks that have power right now are basically driving us toward a catastrophe. But this is something that can be avoided. We can head this off if we believe in the possibility of our own power and our own truth. So again, thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, campaign team. Thank you, all of the activists. Thank you, everyone who's a part of this event this evening. And let's go out and duplicate ourselves, okay? Let's understand that this is not just a electoral campaign, but it is indeed a crusade. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Ajamu. It's always extremely empowering, inspiring, elevating to listen to you and your very big vision of human rights and political struggle. And I just feel so grounded every time I hear you. I feel like I have been to the Oracle, who really has the big vision. And I continue to be one of your biggest fans. And I see lots of people saying as much in the chat that they are big fans for all that Ajamu has brought to our struggle. And I have to say, in the various controversies that have, swirled around the 2024 campaign, Ajamu has had such a clear and steady vision all the way through, with all the ups and downs and the changes. It's just been so grounding to have you really leading the charge in so many ways. So I'm just so grateful for all that you're doing. You're kind of an honorary running mate here, Ajamu. You live on as the VP. So bravo. Thank you so very much. Yeah, we're with you. Standing by you, looking for your advice and guidance on a daily basis. Speaking of advice and guidance, I have to admit that I regularly listen to the news broadcasts of Briahna Joy Gray to find out exactly what is happening and what is a really thoughtful and inspired and politically informed understanding of the issues. And I value Briahna Joy Gray's voice so much that I put up with listening to her partner at the Hill just about every day for the last couple of years. I'm, just so grateful and so inspired and really so instructed by how you have held that dialogue. And it's really, informed so many of us, I think, about how to stand our ground with people who don't get it or are paid not to get it or whatever, people whose, circumstances, and usually it's like the economic elites that don't get it. I feel like I've learned so much about how to stand up for, a people's vision of the world and the crises that we face every day. And among the things that, Briahna has just taken such powerful positions on, is the genocide in Gaza. And she has been so clear and outspoken and uncompromising from the start, just really holding to our human values. Likewise on politics as well, that Briahna has been willing to stand up to, the blue blob and, be unapologetic about casting a vote on behalf of working people and, a future not under the thumb of the U.S. empire, and just has really stood so strong and so courageous and so eloquent that I'm just blown away that Briahna's able to be here with us tonight. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to her. Oh, I guess I should say her podcast now is A Bad Faith. So be sure you check it out. We need to go there and support our, the journalists who are supporting us and who are being, under attack, who are under attack professionally because of the positions that they take. It's so important that we enable them to continue their work. Briahna also, served as Bernie Sanders' press secretary and did a wonderful job and really came to the attention of so many political activists. And then she refused to be compromised by Bernie's, sheepdogging and his compromises. So we're just really honored and privileged to have you here tonight, Briahna. So with that, take it away.
Look, Dr. Stein, thank you so much. It's a very generous introduction. And I just want to say how humbled I am to be here with you and Ajamu Baraka and Jason Call and everyone else who have spent so much of their own lives and their own time and their own resources continuing to live the rhetoric and live the narrative and fight for the world that we want to see, even outside of the context of these electoral cycles. I mean, what's interesting from my perspective is that I really do feel humbled to be in this space, in part because I'm relatively new to the political space altogether. And I came here in part not as an aspiration to kind of professionally work in politics, but really driven, I think, by my own kind of values and ideals in the way that I think a lot of people in this audience probably were. I was someone who grew up in a family where my mother would say often how she had been voting for the Green Party her entire life with a momentary lapse of judgment and Barack Obama. But really was open because I think of having a mother like that and a parent who was so values forward with respect to her politics and the way we were raised, and the choices that she made in her life with where we were brought up and how we were brought up, that when someone like Bernie came along in 2016 and started articulating a worldview and a political view that was actually aligned with my values, someone for whom it wasn't about holding one's nose, but someone who actually aligned, it felt like a radical shift in consciousness. This wasn't something that just kind of weirdos on the fringes wanted. He made it seem really possible that we could achieve a much better world than the one we were living in, especially given that we live as he likes to say, in the richest country in the history of the world. And so I think, like a lot of others, I found it really disappointing when at the end of the 2020 campaign, there didn't seem to be an effort to continue the project, to keep the really robust relational organizing mechanisms he had put in place in effect. And I think for many people, that was a really big red flag about the dangers of organizing within the Democratic Party and of figures who ultimately will capitulate and tell you to vote for Joe Biden or whoever the Democratic Party candidate is at the end of the day. And the integrity it takes to continue to stand by your values and your ideals, regardless of whether or not you are harangued and threatened and fired and deplatformed by the vote blue no matter who or establishment Republican or Democrat crowd who are so invested in maintaining such a tight rope around access to the political system, the two-party system that we have in the country. When you look at people like Jason Call's Green Party race in North Carolina, the ballot access battles that are fought by Greens, including in this current election in New York, the ways in which the system really is authentically rigged, not in some abstract sort of false way, the way we hear it so often evoked on the right, but in concrete material ways because of the real threat, I think, that populist priorities pose to our two-party political system. And it's why you see the media shut down in the way that it is. It's why you see so much pressure on politicos to funnel people back into the Democratic Party. And it's why there is such an enormous pressure to try to make fools out of anybody who has the audacity to say that they continue to believe in the kinds of things that Bernie said, but ultimately seems to have given up on, like having a deep heartfelt concern for the fact that, yes, 64,000 people dying every year from a lack of health insurance isn't just a statistic that you use to get people to turn out in a Democratic primary. It's a value that you live by and you fight for because you genuinely believe that's unconscionable in the richest country in the history of the world. And so I just want to say that I'm very humbled to be in this space with people who have had the courage, the bravery to stand by what they really believe in the face of all of the belittling and the smears of the world who try to make you feel like you are the crazy one, to gaslight you out of living by the basic kind of humanitarian values that any 4-year-old understands as they grasp basic language. Basic golden rule stuff, especially in a world where we certainly can afford to do so much better. And I want to affirm, not that you necessarily need me to, but I find myself doing a lot of this in these spaces that I've been in, is to just be someone in the space that can affirm that you are not crazy for knowing that the world doesn't have to be the way it is, that we see various models in incremental ways. I'm not saying that the peak is some, social democracy in Europe, but certainly the fact that countries with many fewer resources are able to achieve much more than us is a light post for the direction that we certainly could be heading in as a country. And holding on to that belief and that knowledge and that awareness is such a big part of that battle. And then dedicating your time and your energy and your resources to actually fighting for those kinds of things. It's just such an incredible thing. It's such an incredible leap of faith. And I got to say, in the media space, I have witnessed people who are kind of side by side in the battle in the 2016 or 2020 sort of Bernie battle, who seem to be behaving in a way that's almost akin to embarrassment after Bernie lost in those 2 cycles, as though they were on board for the ride when it seemed kind of legitimate and kind of state sanctioned and party sanctioned and like official in some kind of way, but who didn't have really the integrity to keep fighting for these things when it seemed like an uphill battle. Like it seemed like you weren't necessarily just joining a winning ticket, when it seemed like you were going to be treated as unserious because of how difficult the struggle really was going to be. And the people who are willing to continue to fight, even with the kind of smears and degradation that you get from the kind of big head serious people in the room, I think that takes a really special kind of courage. And again, I just want to laud everybody in the space for continuing to fight even when it's hard. Even when it's hard. And I also want to address, what Dr. Stein was saying about, what it means to be in a space like Rising, where there's an audience that really is across the ideological spectrum, and to know that you're entering a sort of arena, a kind of a coliseum where most of the people in the audience are giving you the thumbs down on a daily basis, depending on the topic. And I think it's a really important training ground, because I often found myself, especially at the end there, thinking, this really isn't about convincing Robbie. I have to remember that there's an audience out there that isn't libertarian, that might be Republican, that might be Democrat, but that aren't where I am, but who are real people who have priorities that are different than my co-host, who's, relatively, economically secure and lives a very kind of atypical life in the grand scheme of the average American. And the practice of trying to reframe and remembering who I'm really talking to and what their experiences are, and how to center my values and what I expect many of their values are going to be, to not get distracted by various talking points, to focus on people's humanity, to remember the humanity of the people that are out there in the world, and the privilege of being able to be in a space like that, and to try to do my best to give voice to the concerns that so infrequently manage to make their way to corporate media. That's why I wanted that job. That's why I chose to be there, even though there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes that made it very difficult, especially, frankly, after October 7th. But I think it was important to be in that space, and I continue to believe it's important to be in spaces like that, because they are training grounds for what a populist political project like the one you're putting together here are all about. Having enough of a confidence in your own values and the kind of world that we could create, that you're able to look past kind of the talking points and the petty grievances and the superficialities that are thrown up as blockers to really establishing a substantive big tent politics, the likes of which we need to really save this country from not dire straits that are created just by Trump, not these kind of short-term concerns that I think are overly the focus of the Democratic Party, but years, decades, centuries of immiseration and a failure to live up to this country's genuine ideals, and the potential of what it means to have a country that is genuinely more resourced than any in human history, and has some of the the best people there are on offer. And so again, I know that some of those people are in this room, and I'm really grateful to be included among you. It's very humbling to be invited to an event like this. And I look forward to doing everything that I can to help support the goals of this party and Dr. Stein, your campaign in particular.
Wow. I'm kind of speechless. Bravo. It's just so inspiring to hear you, Briahna, and I'm so honored by your being here and your being willing, as a journalist, to actually go beyond, sort of the safe ivory tower of journalism, and to just be there with the people like you were last weekend at the rally, the Red Line, we will be the Red Line for Gaza. It was such an honor to be there with you and to see you just really rise above the usual role of the journalist, which is to kind of, keep an arm's length from messy, grassroots politics. And
some people aren't wild about that fact. But look, I didn't leave my job in the law because I just abstractly wanted to be a journalist. I did it because I have a belief system, and I don't know, it feels like a corny, weird thing to say. I think so much of the world, so much of our context tells us that it's like crunchy and weird and like, I don't know, naive or something to want to effectuate your values. Like that's something for a specifically spiritual realm, but politics is about real politics, is about something else. But I found a space. Like I started freelancing because I wanted to say what I believed, and I felt like there was a hole where people weren't articulating what I wanted to see in the media. And it took off, I think, because there are a lot of people who feel that way. And that was a humbling experience. And I'm so grateful for that experience. But my entire existence in this space is because of being lifted up by people who are really led by their own values. So why would I, the only reason that I'm here is because of what I believe in. And so I don't see any reason to stop kind of being led by those impulses at this point.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I mean, that's such a transformative, position, not to like demean journalism that it isn't transformative, but, it usually stays in its pigeonhole. And not that that's a bad thing. There are great journalists out there who are doing that within their confines, but to be willing to really take risks and to confront the system and to stand up and, condemn genocide and call it out for what it is, even on a program where you knew that your days might be numbered and your career might be, seriously inconvenienced. It's just such a powerful lesson, I think, to all of us, and an example, and your courage is courageous. And I should say it's contagious. Your courage is contagious. And, it's very much what the world needs right now. This is about us rising up and healing ourselves and discovering who we are and all that. And it just feels like you are helping to lead that charge. And so thank you so much for being a part of this and making time in your extremely busy and challenged schedule at the moment. So just really grateful. All of us are grateful, and gratitude to this whole panel who's been so wonderful. And I, for one, will certainly be reviewing the whole thing when we get done here tonight, because I was delayed in coming on myself. So I really look forward. And Adam, I will listen carefully to your remarks. Briahna, I don't know if you were here to see Adam, but this is the Adam that we were hanging out with last weekend at the march. Yeah. So
hi, Adam.
yeah. And yeah. And Kwame, to have your voice in this as well is really wonderful and inspiring. So this is who we are, and I feel like this is the power that's absolutely unstoppable in this really critical moment where there is an uprising that has a life of its own, and we are giving it a political voice in an election where there are going to be 3 pro-genocide candidates splitting the pro-genocide vote. And we will be the one pro-worker, anti-war, anti-genocide, climate emergency, healthcare emergency, student debt emergency. We will be the one voice that will otherwise be voiceless for all these groups. So it's going to be one of us against 3 of them dividing the vote. Anything could happen. And that's why we're so excited to be here tonight. And I'm going to help transition us into our fundraising portion of the program so that we can get down to where the rubber meets the road, so that we can actually fight this fight. And in particular, this is about getting on the ballot in Illinois and Indiana, where Kwame and his crew and just a wonderful group. And I have to call out Adam, who's also been organizing to get us on the ballot in Illinois, and many folks out there. But in particular, we want to be raising funds now for many from the post-incarceration community, in the mentoring community, who are facing incredible adversity in the communities, struggling with disinvestment, with economic violence, just with a whole history of Jim Crow and redlining and poverty that's been inflicted on the community. This is really what we owe so much to you, and we're so honored that these groups are standing up to really help lead the charge and ensure that we are going to be on the ballot. So we need to be sure that we are providing support And I'm just seeing Wendy Hermans say that she sent in $1,000 tonight. That's a good way here to kick us off. And I just want to give a big shout out and thank you so much to Wendy Hermans for that incredible support. I'm going to turn it over to Jason Call at this point to take the lead in this portion of our fundraising. We'll be opening it up for questions and discussion. So save up your questions. You can put them in the chat now if you'd like, or save them, but we will come back with a Q&A. So we'll do at least, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes of fundraising now, maybe take a break, do some Q&A, and then come back and finish us up. So take it away, Jason.
Absolutely. So as people are discussing in the chat about the deadlines in Illinois and Indiana, they are drawing extremely close. The deadline to have signatures submitted in Illinois is June 24th. That is 11 days from now, and we intend to be submitting upwards of 50,000 signatures. The requirement is 25,000, but as the Democratic Party stated in mid-March, they intend to come at us with armies of lawyers. So you will see the donation link being posted in the chat. Online, if you're watching us on YouTube, on Twitter, jillstein2024.com, and you'll see the donate button right there. We do need to raise funds, and I want to speak specifically to this assault on democracy by the Democratic Party, because right now we submitted 30,000, almost 29,500 signatures in Nevada, where there were only 10,000 required. And the day we got our certification, the Secretary of State in Nevada says, yes, you've met the qualifications. We're going to put you on the ballot. The Democratic Party sued for an injunction to keep us off the ballot. And now we have to go to court in Nevada. We are looking for lawyers right now in Carson City, the capital of Nevada, so that they can pick up the case. And this is, you know, the Secretary of State says we're on. We know that we submitted the signatures. We know we submitted them in the distribution required. And the Democratic Party is not doing this because they think they are going to win this case. They are doing this to tie up our resources and waste our time so that we are kept off the ballot in other critical states where we need to be focusing on. And in particular, that is Illinois and Indiana right now. So we need you to donate right now, because we are going to have legal battles on top of having to pay signature gatherers on the ground in Illinois and Indiana. So it is critical. I don't want, you know, I said going into this, like, you know, grassroots movements, we have a lot of passion, we have a lot of love, we have a lot of fire for the principles and the platform that we are standing behind, but we cannot do this without money. We do need to raise those funds. I'm going to be, you know, the numbers are big. We need to raise overall probably $500,000 to make sure overall that we get on the ballot in Indiana and Illinois. We have raised some of that money right now, but we have not raised enough to complete the job. And that is what we are here for tonight. We are here to complete the job. So I know it's a big number, and I'm going to throw it out there. If you don't know what your federal maximums are, and it is $3,300 in the primary election and another $3,300 in the general election. So if you have the capacity watching out there in social media land, if you're with us here in the webinar and you have the capacity and you understand the importance of this moment, and you know that the anti-democratic Democratic Party is throwing everything they can against us. Why? Because they are scared that we are the ones who are really going to knock them off the post this year. We need you to kick in. $3,300 is the max. I'm not going to hang out on that number too long. I know it's a really big number. I say every time I do this, $3,300 is not something I could pull out of my pocket. But if you are there and you feel this movement and you know the importance of this moment in time, please commit everything you have to this campaign. Jill, do you want to say anything about what's going on in Nevada?
Oh, man. So Nevada is where the Democrats are, you know, doing what they warned us about. What they said was that they hired an army of lawyers to basically throw their competitors off the ballot and deny the American people the political choices that we are tearing our hair about. And this is what they're doing. In Nevada, we totally blew it out of the park with 3 times the number of signatures, 30,000, as Jason mentioned, when only 10,000 were required. And as soon as the Secretary of State basically gave us the thumbs up and put us on the ballot, the Democratic Party in Nevada filed for an injunction in court in order to stop our being placed on the ballot. They really do not have a case. They've raised some issues that are false and not supported by the facts. So this is actually all about tying up our resources, forcing us to hire lawyers, forcing us to spend time on this when, we have Illinois that we need to move ahead on really fast. We need, as we've said tonight, about 50,000 signatures to be really secure in Illinois. And we have Indiana going on at the same time, which is even more. There's about 70,000 signatures. So we have an incredible ballot access hurdle going on right now, and they're trying to tie us up with other stuff. We're also proceeding towards court right now with New York, because they too inflicted an outrageous and ridiculous burden. And by the way, we also know that the Democrats are advertising for infiltrators. We basically caught a job posting where they were looking to hire people to basically affiliate with our ballot drives and to report back on what we're doing and who knows what else. But this is basically to be intruders within our effort. So this is how they roll, and this is not different. I think who mentioned earlier, it might have been Briahna, who was talking about Matt Ho's campaign in North Carolina, where the Democrats actually impersonated the Greens. And they said that they were the Green Party. And they called people who had signed our petitions. They called saying they were the Green Party, and would that person please take their name off the petition because the party had decided it didn't want to run Matt Ho or something to that effect. And they made the mistake of calling the co-chair of the North Carolina Green Party, who had the presence of mind to record the phone call, which was presented as evidence in court. And the Democrats, the Democratic Party of North Carolina was fined for doing this. And Matt Ho was also put back on the ballot after they had taken him off. He was put back on too late, unfortunately, to really fight a full campaign. But this is what they do. And we've kind of learned how to how to watchdog them. And so we're much more vigilant about watching for this, especially now that they've announced, that they're hiring infiltrators and that they are, hiring an army of lawyers. So we're on the lookout and we're fighting back because it's not just us as Greens, as a campaign, it's voters, it's you, it's your choice. It's your democracy, which they are dismantling. So we need to fight back, and
Absolutely.
Your dollars are incredibly helpful to us to do that.
I want to say a few things here. If you want to find out how you can help with ballot petitioning in your state, please go to jillstein2024.com and click on the ballot access tab, and then you can click on your state and it will give you the information that you need. It will link to the petition, it will link to the guidelines, and you can get out there on the street in your neighborhood in states that we are collecting signatures. And we are already on the ballot in 23 states, I believe, by the last count. And I am still counting Nevada as one of those 23 states because the Democrats are going to lose that lawsuit. They're just going to waste our time and money in the process. So please, and I wanted to say that Arif Usmani says, I am maxed out. Thank you, Arif. But my wife will match $1,000 if somebody else does. So let's just throw that out right there. If somebody can donate $1,000 right now, Arif's wife is going to match it. Steve Welser says he's going to put $1,000 in. Steve, thank you. Steve's been a big supporter of ours. And we really appreciate Steve's consistent support. So I wanted to note also that we have over 5,000 people watching online right now. We have 244 people in this webinar. And I want to say that let's just break it down. If every one of those people said, this is the moment, this is the time, I'm going to kick in $10, I'm going to kick in $25, every single one of you, we would meet our fundraising goal tonight, immediately. All it would take is $10 from everybody. And if you can make it 25 from everybody who's watching, that meets our goal. Our goal tonight is $60,000. Okay. It is a big goal. We have raised upwards of $45,000 in a fundraiser in one night before, but we need to make this one $60,000 tonight because we got people who are working right now who deserve to be paid because we are a campaign that supports labor. And we need to make sure that they get paid for their time. They are committed to our cause, but they're not working for free, and we don't expect them to work for free. If you are volunteering for our campaign, that is extremely appreciated. Every signature that you voluntarily get out on the street by carrying your own petition saves the campaign approximately $8 to $10. So you doing your own petitioning in Illinois and your own petitioning in Indiana is saving the campaign money, but we cannot reasonably expect everybody to do that when we need a volume of 50,000 signatures in Illinois. So we have to pay people to do it. And I'll tell you something, we are happy to pay people to do it because we are a campaign that values all labor. Labor is the source of all wealth. So we need to make sure that people get paid, and we are asking you to help us because you are committed to what we are doing with this campaign, because we are the only anti-empire campaign that is going to be on the ballot across the country, and it is vital. I want to go back to something Ajamu Baraka said. It is now or never. This is our moment to capture and to make sure that this is the empire's last stand and that we build a movement for the future. Now is the time, and it does take your money. So if you can, I'm going to knock the amount. Everybody knows the maximum. It's $3,300. We are extremely grateful if you can contribute $3,300. But if you can only contribute $1,500, I say only, it's a big number, but we'll bring it down to $1,500. If you can contribute $1,500, extremely grateful. That's making up for a lot of people who really don't have the funds to contribute. Remember, the economic inequality in this country is vast. Some of us have and some of us don't. And if you can give your time to this campaign, it is valuable. If you can't give your money, there are other people who can make up the fact that you can't give money. Again, just going back to the big spread of 5,000 people watching us, if everybody gave $10, if everybody gave $25, we would hit our goal immediately. But if you can give $1,500, if you can give $1,000, you are making up for a lot of people who simply don't have the deep pockets. If you've got the deep pockets and you know what this movement needs, we are asking you to contribute to our $60,000 goal. Jill, I'm going to go take a peek in the Q&A and see if there's a question that we could answer here. That would be good. Some of you do have, again, questions about ballot access. Please go to the website and look at the ballot access tab and check out your state. So let's see here.
Yeah, let me just jump in
Go ahead.
to thank John, who put in 100, David Curtis, another 100. I think he said that he contributed 500 earlier this week. He just donated another 100. Mark, that's Mark Albarno. Thank you so much, Mark. Just his wife just contributed 300. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you so much. Mark is wonderful. He has been a huge supporter of this campaign. He's been connecting with us with people all over the country, and we are eternally grateful to Mark Albarno and his wife for the support that they have given our campaign so far. Jill, I do have a really important question that I would like. Megan J, $250. Thank you so much.
Man.
$50.
Brittany, 100, and then Counter APAC asked, how do I make a $100 donation? So you can just go to our website, jillstein2024.com. You can go to the contribute page, and actually it's on the homepage as well.
And it's being dropped in this chat here. The link is being dropped in the chat.
That too.
Patty, $40. And I do want to say our friend Hazim in Indianapolis has also said that he will match a $500 donation. If a $500 donation comes in right now, Hazim's going to match it. Thank you so much, Hazim.
Thank you, Hazim.
Nadia, is that Nadia Nouri? I want to say thank you to Nadia Nouri, $1,000. I am running for Congress in Washington's 2nd District. And Nadia, I want to recognize you for being a monthly contributor to my campaign also. Thank you so much supporting the Green Party. $100 from Kauai, $500 last week. Thank you so much. Wendy is doing the $500 for Hazim's match. Hazim, there you go. You got it. So that's $1,000 in the bank, $500 and a $500 match. Wendy and Hazim, thank you so much. The question in the chat is from Hassan, and I think this is really important right now. I know hundreds of people with resources who want to participate, but don't know who to donate to or support because the anti-genocide candidates are divided. As a Palestinian who has lost loved ones, unity between anti-genocide candidates is a priority and is the way to stop the genocide and create legitimate political threat. Amen to that. I completely agree. My people need simplicity. Our people don't have faith. And this is something that as we have campaigned across the country, the Arab American, Muslim American, Palestinian American community has lost faith in the political system, and we are trying to build that faith back up by building relationships and offering as much guarantee as we possibly can, including standing in solidarity with students at encampments and getting arrested and spending an evening in jail, and Jill being assaulted by police officers. We are here for the anti-genocide movement. It is the most critical thing on earth at this very time. But Hassan says, our people don't have faith. Our people in Gaza depend on it. Can you talk about a plan to unite, Jill? Cornell refuses. So that is a very pressing question right now.
Absolutely. And we have worked to build unity because the empire wants us to be divided. They're terrified that we should get united. And there are all kinds of ways that we are divided. And as Greens, we have really sought unity, not to place ourselves in front, but to actually work in coalition. In this election, the reality is that you must be on the ballot in every state or just about every state if you're going to actually challenge empire. If you're not on the ballot in just about every state, you're pretty much written off. You are dismissed. Right now, we are the only anti-genocide campaign that is on track to be on the ballot for the vast majority of voters, and hopefully in all states. The other campaigns basically have a handful of states, mainly small states, that don't amount to many votes and not many electoral votes. We have already basically covered the territory that that would create or that would earn, shall we say, the majority of electoral college votes. So we're already on in the largest states and the most populous states. So we already could actually win the election based on the ballot access we already have. The other candidates are on a very small portion. They may have 5 states or maybe getting up towards 12 states. I think that's the goal for some of them, but those are relatively small states without much electoral college votes. So that may be a principled vote. It may be a vote for an anti-genocide agenda, but it's not a strategic vote. It's not a vote that can actually challenge empire, that could win this election and take power. And it just happens that the Greens have the ability to do this. And we are very interested in building solidarity and attempted to do that from the very start of this election. Actually, from long before this election, we have been working to build solidarity with like-minded anti-empire, anti-white supremacy, anti-capitalist campaigns and political parties. We have always been working on that. We've sort of been ahead of the curve on that and have really been trying to persuade others. people are getting closer to that. There's now a movement coming from one of the former Black Panthers, who's now launched a movement entitled A United Front Against Fascism, a united front to fight fascism. In my view, that united front cannot wait until after the election. We need that united front right now because we've got the militarized police that are bashing in the heads and threatening people who are speaking out. You know, we have the Democrats and Republicans who are, you know, firing people from their jobs if they speak out against the genocide. You know, we have an assault on our First Amendment rights, on our rights of free speech and our right to protest. And this is a violent assault as well. We don't have to wait for Donald Trump. Fascism is here. We need to stand up and fight it now. So absolutely, we have to build unity in every way that we possibly can. But the reality is there is only one campaign that can truly challenge empire and that can put a stop to genocide. And I think that this is not a time for symbolism. This is a time to actually win power and build power. And when we get on the ballot across the country, it is a shot across the bow of the empire. It is a statement to the empire that your days are numbered and you need to stop this genocide now. And our goal on day one of a green administration is that we will shut down the flow of weapons to the state of Israel, the military aid, and actually all aid to the genocidal state of apartheid Israel stops because they are war criminals and are conducting genocide. So we cannot support that. We must use all tools to bring it to a halt. One of those tools is by challenging empire and by showing that we have a strong, unified movement that can get on the ballot and that can build an unstoppable movement. We really can do that. And, you know, that's very much what we're taking the first step towards right now by raising funds to ensure that we are on the ballot now in the remaining two most difficult states. New York was the most, and we're fighting that in court. We will at least be running a strong write-in, if not actually a ballot line in that state. But then it's Illinois and Indiana. And that's why we've got to get traction now. We have to raise that money. And whatever you can contribute, if you can put in a couple $100, that is fabulous. If you can dig deep and you can put in $1,000, you know, this is a contribution to stop genocide now in the most powerful way that we can. If it's $10, that is fabulous. Whatever you can do, if all of us put in what we can, we will get there and we will be on the ballot across the country.
So I want to mention the number $250 because we have met matching funds. So there's a program called federal matching funds that if you raise a certain minimum amount in 20 different states, then the federal government will match up to $250 of everyone's money. Anybody who contributes up to $250. If you contribute $5, it's going to be matched. If you contribute $10, it's going to be matched. If you contribute $100, it's going to be matched all the way up to $250. So your money is effectively doubled, and we have met that threshold, and we have filed our paperwork, and we are waiting for our first matching funds check. But anybody throughout, from the start of the campaign all the way through the primary, everybody who donates $250 will have that money matched. It is an incredibly powerful and important resource for a grassroots campaign like ours. Like I said, we have not gotten our first check. We're still waiting for the federal government to send it to us, but it's going to give us a big boost. Hopefully we receive it in time so that we can put it towards Illinois and Indiana. We can't guarantee that's going to happen because the federal government moves slowly. And so we are relying to what Justin B. willing to match a $3,300 limit. Justin, that's amazing. And we have 6,500 people watching online. Again, I want to say thank you, Justin B. And I saw Rob K donated $250. So Rob, your $250 is going to get matched by the federal government. Aisha and Ahmad, I saw that you donated before. I didn't see exactly how much. Zoe Ma donated $75, and I do want to shout out Zoe. She is in Chicago petitioning right now. She is one of our leads in Chicago, working the Wilmette and Evanston area on the north side of Chicago. She came out to New York to help us get on the ballot in New York, and an absolute powerhouse petitioner for us. So thank you, Zoe. Big shout out, big love to you right there. So please, $250 will be matched. We are looking for more. We do need a $60,000 goal tonight. That is our goal. We have people on the street that we need to hand money to tomorrow so that they can pay their petitioners. These are working class people getting out on the streets for us. And as you know, income inequality in this country is huge. There are many haves, but it is a lot of the have-nots who realize the power of this working class movement and are willing to get out on the street for us. We need to pay them. This is not about us. This is about paying the people who are working for us. And so we need you to contribute to that right now, because those are the folks who are going to get us on the ballot in Illinois. And I want to tell you something. People have asked, well, what if your legal challenges don't work in New York? We will file for a write-in campaign in New York. And if we are on the ballot in 49 states on a printed ballot, and New York is the only place where we have to do a write-in campaign, imagine how powerful that write-in campaign is going to be, because everybody's going to know Jill's on in 49 states. We're going to focus on writing it in New York. That is going to take money. It's going to take organizing. But right now, Illinois and Indiana are on our plate. We need people to donate. 6,500 people watching us online. If everybody gave $10, that's it. Everybody gives $10 and we've met our goal. Can we do that? Can everybody give a minimum of $10 right now? We will have met our goal. We can all go home and enjoy the rest of our evening. So I appreciate it so much. Let's see here. I'm going to take another question in the chat here. I
got a couple thank yous while you're looking for the
Go ahead.
question. I don't know if Pete K got a thank you, but he put in $250. Big thank you to Pete. Patty put in 40. Eddie 100 after contributing 500 earlier this week. Clara put in 25. Nilesh, I think it is. Nilesh put in 250. Big thank you for that.
Gonna be matched.
And that will be matched. Anthony W also 250. That will be a full match. Ahmed Elmadi 100. Thank you so much. Creative Experiments put in, I think, 25, and Ahmed also 25. So whatever you can contribute, if it's only $5, that is huge as well. Whatever you can throw into the pot here really makes it possible for us to keep fighting.
So Jill, there is an important question here in the chat, and I'm not dismissing the other ones, but there is one that I really want to focus on, and that is the idea of, if you are the Green president and you have, other than myself, because I intend to get elected in Washington's 2nd district, but if you have a majority red and blue Congress, people are saying this is going to stop you from accomplishing anything that you want to do with your agenda. And I'm certain that that would be the intent of the corporate war and Wall Street parties, to block a green agenda. The Democratic Party gives lip service to the values that we espouse. We do not have any confidence that they are ever going to move to actually implement those policies. That has been their history. They will talk, and then there will be no action behind it. So Jill, what is it that we have to offer with a green presidency? What are we going to get done, and how are we going to get it done?
The power of the people is what we have to offer. We have to offer a grassroots movement. You may remember that Barack Obama, during his campaign, you know, the Hopi Changey campaign, had a huge grassroots movement that was really very inspired and bought into it. But once he got elected, And his first act was really to appoint Larry Summers. I remember seeing that and kind of like going, yep, exactly as expected, because as Greens, we were not, we did not buy into the hope and change. And basically the grassroots ground troops were sent home. They were put on the shelf. They were dismissed because at the end of the day, the campaign was going to be serving Wall Street, which is what it went on to do. Larry Summers, by the way, had been the treasurer for Bill Clinton when the critical safeguards, economic safeguards, were being rolled back. And so Larry Summers kind of laid the groundwork for the economic crash that then developed in 2008. That was really thanks to their work dismantling the safeguards that had been installed after the Depression, the Great Depression. And so it was clear where Barack Obama was going. We're going to be different. We're not sending the ground troops home. And this is like to put everybody on notice that if we succeed here, no one goes home. Our work will just begin because we will have a powerful grassroots movement. If we get into the White House, that movement will propel us legislation by legislation to move the agenda and to actually pass the agenda. Now, how are we going to do that, you may ask? The way we're going to do that is through a thing called democracy, which is really kind of on life support right now. But there are a couple of tools for re-engaging democracy. One of them is called town hall meetings. That old-timey thing whereby constituents used to meet with their elected officials. They don't do that anymore because the elected officials won't meet with them. They're too busy meeting with their big donors. So basically, we are going to shame and name elected officials to force them to meet up with their constituents so they can basically hear what it is that their constituents are demanding of them. We're also going to reinstitute congressional hearings where we also hold their feet to the fire. And we will also undertake through executive power and the power of the Justice Department, we can undertake an antitrust lawsuit against the consolidated corporate media. And once we do that, we begin to open up the institution of the press, which is absolutely essential for both watchdogging government and for educating people. So there are a number of really critical things that can be changed, not to mention releasing all political prisoners like Julian Assange and Leonard Peltier and many others who never should have been locked up in the first place, including victims of the drug wars and people who are unjustly sitting in prison now for the nonviolent use or cultivation or possession of really any substances. Substances should be regulated as a public health problem, not as a criminal problem. So a lot of things can change just through the power of the presidency. And that also includes, by the way, declaring a climate emergency so that we then unleash more than $500 billion every year to create the green jobs that we need to actually rein in the climate crisis.
And this is all stuff that is popular. It is all stuff that is popular in the court of public opinion. This is what people want for their futures. And Jill, I do need to break and give a couple of shout outs. David S., $250. Glenn B., $250. Remember, these are the donation amounts that are going to get automatically matched by the federal government when we apply every month for our matching funds. And Peter Horniman, $1,863. Amazing. Thank you so much. You'll get 250 of that matched. So again, our goal tonight is $60,000. It is so that we can secure ballot access in Illinois and Indiana. And I want to say something about Illinois and Indiana compared to all of the other states that we are still trying. Illinois and Indiana are like the Himalayas right now. Once we are on the other side of Illinois and having climbed those mountains, all of the other states are relatively, I don't want to say easy. A few of them, 10,000 signatures. Let me talk about Missouri. Missouri needs 10,000 signatures. The Greens in Missouri have already collected over 12,000. They're going to shoot for 15,000 plus. They're due at the end of July. The other states aren't due. Like once we get past Illinois, Indiana, we have until the end of July to get, a half a dozen to a dozen other states on the ballot, all of which are already in progress, all of which have much lower signature counts. We're talking about Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, 5,000 signatures, 10,000 signatures. Many of them have already met the mark and are now just patting their stuff. I want to give a shout out to my own home state of Washington. We only needed 1,000 signatures. We've already collected over 2,000. So it's just a matter of us doing our paperwork and submitting those signatures. We will be on the ballot in Washington State. We're here in Nashville, Tennessee right now. Where the signature requirement in Tennessee is only 275 signatures. They got half of that today when we met with them out in Hadley Park here. They were out petitioning and they had petitioners and they've already got half of those signatures. So there are some states that are very easy to get on, and then there are some states that are a little bit more difficult, but the ones in front of us right now that we are going to have to take care of in the next 2 to 3 weeks are the two very most difficult states to get on, remaining 25,000 valid in Illinois, 37,000 valid in Indiana. People are like, well, how are you going to manage that? Listen, we've got a lot of the signatures. We are pushing ourselves over the top. We have well over 20,000 signatures in Indiana right now. We probably have 15,000 in the bank in Illinois. So this is not like it is an unachievable goal. It is a very achievable goal. But the people who are doing that work, who have committed their time to doing this work, again, they need to be paid. Wendy, thank you so much. She says she's going to be adding the 750 promised and 250 more. So I appreciate that so much, Wendy. And appreciate you being with us. So again, we've got, I don't know where we are with numbers, but it was over 6,500 people, 6,500 people watching us right now. I will say again, if every single person can just go to the donate and kick in $10, we will have hit our goal. We're at about, well, we're not there yet, so I'm not going to say what it is. I want our numbers. Over 7,000 people watching in the chat. Please, $10, $15, $25. This is worth it. This is your challenge to empire. This is the only campaign that is going to be the serious ballot challenge to empire. And this is the first election. I'm 52 years old. This is the first election in my lifetime where the door has been open to a third party win. Jill, go ahead.
I want to give a big shout out to Glenn B for a contribution of 250. Thank you so much, Glenn. And I want to name some of the other groups that are part of this grassroots coalition that is helping to collect these signatures. So these are basically people who have done this before, by the way. They have helped get a community activist on the ballot who is running for governor in Illinois. And that means collecting 10,000 signatures. In order to get 10,000 signatures, you got to collect 20,000. So they've been through this before. They know how to do it. They are pumped. They are active. That includes the Poor People's Army, Community Tribes United Coalition 2024. All of Us or None of Us Wisconsin, Breaking Barriers Mentoring, Inc., which works with youth who have come out of being incarcerated, the Black Liberation Circle, the Violence Interrupters, and some others as well. So this is an amazing grassroots coalition that we are just so honored to be able to work with. And we need to, and they're doing this at really very reasonable costs. So we really need to be able to get behind them and support them as they support all of us to demand the community that we deserve.
All right. So let's see here. I'm gonna take a Let's see. I'm going to look in the, okay. How can I sign the petition here in Illinois to get Jill on the ballot? Well, one of the things you can do is you can contact us. Let's see here. I don't have the contact information at hand. Can somebody, Justin, can you drop in the chat how somebody in Illinois can get on the ballot? Because I will have to go to some links and post it. Let's see here. How to collect signatures. There's a link in the chat right there. If you can check that for Illinois. Justin has done a wonderful training video. One of the things in Illinois is you can't sign your own petition like you can carry, but you can't witness for yourself. So if there were two of you, you could sign each other's. It's a silly rule. We don't make the rules. It's one of those things that makes our job difficult collecting signatures. You would think that you could just sign your own petition, but you can't. So please, yeah, there's the Illinois landing page. Justin has just posted in the chat. If you are in Illinois, please go to that landing page and check out how you can sign there. Neil S., $250. Thank you. That's going to be matched. We appreciate it greatly. 7,300 people watching us online. Please, $10 each, and we have met our goal. Those numbers are not coming in right now, and I really wish they were. So please, $10, everybody, just $10 right now. We've met our goal. Jill, let me see here. I think there was another question that I wanted to, will you be able to stop weapons going to Israel? Yes, absolutely. That is one of our day one goals is that Israel would get no more funding, not for weapons, not for anything, not until they comply with international law, and even beyond that.
And actually, it's illegal. It's against U.S. law to be providing Israel with weapons right now. It's against U.S. law to provide military aid to any country that is violating human rights, to any country that is interfering with the delivery of humanitarian aid. You know, and to put it mildly, Israel has completely shut off the spigot so that aid is not getting in, food is not getting in, water is not getting in. So Israel is violating this law, you know, in the extreme. It's also illegal to provide military weapons to any country that is violating nuclear treaties. And Israel has nuclear weapons in violation of the non-proliferation treaty. So on all of those counts, it's actually illegal for the president to transfer weapons or for Congress to provide those weapons. So on all those counts, this stops on day one. The president can do that simply by picking up the phone. That's what, you know, the great peace activist President Ronald Reagan, you've heard of him. He did that by picking up the phone and telling Israel that it needed to bring its troops back and stop the bombardments and the missile strikes in Lebanon, where Israel had followed the PLO, which was basically the Hamas of an earlier day. And Ronald Reagan did that in the 1980s. President Dwight Eisenhower did the same thing in the 1950s. So this can be done. It's been done several times, and Joe Biden needs to do it. It's absolutely outrageous. Joe Biden, you know, recently put forward a peace treaty in the United Nations Security Council, and it passed unanimously because for once the U.S. wasn't vetoing this. They were actually sponsoring it. Well, that's really great, but Israel will not abide by this treaty. And they say they're not going to, have any ceasefire until they've wiped out all of Hamas. Well, who is Hamas? It's basically any young man, and apparently women and children too. You know, Israel seems to consider everybody to be a terrorist and to be subject to slaughter. So it's just not possible to stop Israel by asking nicely. So we say it's really critical. Joe Biden doesn't have to pass this Security Council resolution. It's great to have it passed, but Israel's still not going to comply. So Joe Biden does not need Israel's compliance. Joe Biden has to force Israel's compliance by ending the flow of weapons. So Joe Biden has the power to do this right now when no one else does. Although I must say, we do. You know, this is the power of the political threat. This is the power that Frederick Douglass talks about, that power concedes nothing without a demand. We can be that political demand. And simply by getting on the ballot, we have put that shot across the bow of the empire to say that we are coming, we are strong, and we are organized. This is perhaps the most powerful way right now that we can stand up to empire and to this genocide. And I'm just seeing here, Cool Gamers has said, I'm going to donate $1,000 right now. I'm a Democrat, and Jill Stein is a real hero, unlike Genocide Joe. So thank you so much, Cool Gamers.
Yeah.
The kind of support we need. That's just totally awesome. We really.
And I also, Jill, I want to say our friend Harry Berger in the chat, and Harry's in New York, and Harry is a Green in New York, and Harry says, all I can afford is $5, but I'm going to give it. We need that also. That is just as important. If you are stretched to your means, and you're just not able to give, and that's your max, and you're like, I can do that, and I'm comfortable with that, then please do that. $5 will help us. You know, if the 7,500 people who are watching online donated $5, we would still hit our goal at this point. So just know that those smaller contributions en masse are just as important. And I do want to say, Kwame has asked us, and I do appreciate the reminder on this. I'm going to go back to read it. The People's First Convention. So we are having, for the first time ever, a convention of a variety of groups whose main goal is that we get politics to work for us and work for the working class and work for poor people, which it obviously doesn't right now. And there's going to be a convention in Milwaukee on July 13th and 14th. Now, we have been asked to attend. Jill and our campaign team will be in Milwaukee, July 13th and 14th, attending this conference. We are proud to have been asked and to represent the Green Party and the Jill Stein campaign at this convention. This convention is going to need some volunteers. So if you're in and around the Milwaukee area and you want to help with the People First Convention, I would ask that you please get in touch with me. You can email me directly, jason@jillstein2024.com, and I will connect you to Kwame and other organizers who are putting this convention on. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be informative, and there's going to be workshops. And it's really how can we take back our collective power, the power that has been taken away from us by the moneyed interests, the oligarchs, the war machine that seek to divide us and take away our political power and take away our economic power. We have to get that back. And the People's First Convention in Milwaukee, mid-July, July 13th and 14th, is one of the ways that we can organize around doing that. So please be in touch with me, and I'll get you in touch. They are asking for volunteers, and we have told them that absolutely we're going to support them with getting some volunteers in Milwaukee over that weekend. So appreciate that. And then the Poor People's Army's March, the Republican National Convention is going to be one of the reasons the People First convention is going to be held on the 13th and the 14th in Milwaukee is because the next day on the 15th, the Republican National Convention is going to be held in Milwaukee, and we're going to be protesting that convention because we don't like Republicans and we don't like Democrats, and they all want to take away our power, and we need to stand up and fight back against that. And the Democratic National Convention is going to be in Chicago, although I'm not sure if they're actually even going to hold an in-person one right now because I don't think Joe Biden could make it through 4 days of a convention in Chicago. So they've said that they're at least taking it to a hybrid convention, but that is going to be in Chicago on August 19th, and the Stein campaign and the Green Party plan to represent there. There's going to be massive protests there. So please join us in Chicago on August 19th as well. So again, let's recap. We need $60,000. For those of you who have said you're going to donate, please follow through. Commit to that donation of the over 7,500 people watching online. I'm going to make one last pitch. If everybody donated $10, we would hit our goal. We would exceed our goal. Democracy is not a spectator sport. That's not even a cliche. You have to participate. If you can participate with your volunteering, that's great. If you can't participate with your volunteering, but you have $10 to give, you have $25 to give, we need your money. This is not the time to sit on your hands. Whatever we can do to inspire you. Just imagine having a president like Jill in the White House. Look back over the last, for me, last 30, 40 years of presidents, I remember quite clearly since Ronald Reagan, and I don't think any one of them have done anything good for the people of this country. That's why I voted for Ralph Nader in 1996, voted for Ralph Nader again in 2000, voted for Bernie Sanders, or worked for Bernie Sanders, I should say, until the DNC took that power away from us. But I've been fighting through this thing for 35 years since I was a sophomore in college. And this is our moment. This has to be our moment. We've got climate coming down on us. People are struggling. Housing is going through the roof. Nobody's doing anything about inflation. Nobody's doing anything about the fact that people are working 80 hours a week and still can't pay their rent, and the cost of rent is still going up. People are mired, 44 million people mired in student debt. And the Biden administration makes these paltry cancellations to, get some people out there say, well, Biden canceled for me, so he canceled it for a couple of tens of thousands of people, while 44 million people are still struggling with student debt. It's not serious. Everything that the blue and the red do is to increase the power of the oligarchy, and we have to take our power back as people. And Jill's the person to do it. This campaign is the one to do it. We're active all across the country. We need a contribution from you right now. $10, $25. We need to get it in the bank so that we can pay people who are working for us in Illinois. Please do that.
I'll jump in for a minute just to talk about kind of what we're seeing out on the campaign trail. We really are seeing an explosion of people standing up to say this genocide has to end. It has to end right now. And in fact, we know that 1 million people are at risk in Gaza right now. The United Nations World Food Program is predicting that 1 million people will die in the next month with Israel's policy of denying food, water, energy, medicines, destroying the hospitals, the healthcare system, targeting healthcare workers. But especially this starvation thing is going to kill 1 million people this month. We really need to pull out all the stops right now. If you can throw in $5, if you can throw in $10, anything that you can put in really helps us fight back and stand up and say that we are not going to allow this to happen. We are looking at a genocide on steroids. We have really been on a death watch for 2 million people for the last 8 months. For 8 months, we have known this is where it's going. And, we have so many people of courage, the students who are standing up to say, come hell or high water, we are not going away. We are not giving up, and they are just nonviolently standing up and standing their ground. And we have to keep that heat on, and we can move that fight into the political realm, because a lot of the colleges are going home for the summer. What are people going to do? We really want to encourage people. Let's work on the campaign. Let's get the word out. Let's mobilize all the young people who've been out there fighting to stop the genocide. We need to take that fight into the voting booth. We need to take that fight into political empowerment. As Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. We need to bring that demand into the political marketplace. And given the way that the Democrats and Republicans are, but especially the Democrats, they are really trying to shut us down. They are terrified that we're going to get to the microphone, because the American people, this is their values. 68% 68% of Americans in a Reuters poll are against this genocide and want to shut it down right now. So that's like one way in which our lives are basically really on the line. And I have to give a shout out right now to Farah Ali, who just contributed $1,000. Thank you so very much, Farah. That is incredible. With that kind of support, we are going to be on the ballot. Once we're on the ballot across the country, they're trying to ignore us, especially because we are a real threat. If you are just a voice in the wilderness and you don't have a distributed grassroots network, you don't have a means of getting on the ballot, you're an eloquent voice. But what are you going to do with that? You're not going to threaten empire. You may talk about forming some large party in the future, but we need to stop this genocide now. There are 1 million people whose lives are on the line right now. Simply by getting on the ballot, we have put that shot across the bow of empire for them to know we are organized, we are strong, we are growing. When we were in New York, the word was spreading like a wildfire. So initially, it would be the Palestinians who were really working to get us on the ballot, that were bringing us to their mosques, that were spreading the word and carrying the petitions. And then the word got out to the Pakistani community. So then we were going to be there with the Pakistani community and going to their mosques and to their neighborhood gatherings. And then it was the Yemeni community. And it was like one after the other, people were on fire. We know that students and young people are on fire. We can be on fire with each other and really shut this thing down. This is not the only crisis. It is horrific, and it is the most immediate and heart-wrenching crisis. But we're also, looking at working people who are struggling to keep a roof over their heads. Right now, we know that half of everyone who rents is in serious economic jeopardy. We know that people are spending more than 30%. In some areas like New York, it's more like 50 and 60% of your monthly income is going to just your rent alone, which means you can't put food on the table and pay your student loans and all the rest. So it's really important, for us to consider this, how we fight back. We fight back together because we are all in desperate and dire straits. And the last thing I want to give voice to is the climate crisis. You may have heard that the monkeys, the howler monkeys in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, are falling from the trees, dehydrated, basically collapsing. There are hundreds of these monkeys, and the communities are going out to try to resuscitate the monkeys, and they can't do that. Hundreds of monkeys have died. Likewise, the people, we are looking at 126 degrees in India and also in Mexico. We are looking at the parrots also in Mexico. Parrots are also falling from the trees and dying. So this is our future. This is what the future looks like. It's not getting better under Democrats nor Republicans. Joe Biden has overseen some of the most destructive fossil fuel development, particularly with these liquid natural gas, these LNG export facilities that are the equivalent of building 440 new coal plants. 440 new coal plants. Donald Trump hasn't done anything that destructive. This is being done by Joe Biden. So we have every reason to stand up and to take back our future and to make that demand that Frederick Douglass talks about. It's not going to happen without our basically, standing up and demand it. And by helping, whatever you can contribute tonight, even if it's only $5, you are helping that move forward. You are helping us engage this amazing grassroots coalition to conduct this petition drive and ensure that we are on the ballot loud and strong, firing that shot across the bow of the empire to say, you must stop this genocide now.
So folks, this is not a game. It's not a whim. It's not a hobby. We do politics because we have to. It's a matter of survival. One of the things that is my greatest fear is that if the left does not have a strong movement, when the duopoly collapses and people are realizing that it is not working for them, historically, if there has not been a strong left movement, then all those people who are looking for leadership, they go to the right. And we don't want them to go to the right, because if they go to the right, that's not solving any problems either. And things continue to get worse. We are the only option to whatever the pathway is to making things better on this earth. It is going to go through us. So now is the time. This is the moment. I want to shout out a few names. Hunter, and I don't know how much people contributed, so I'm just going to say your names because I know you've contributed. Hunter, Carmen, Joaquin, Dorothy, Nicholas, Jeffrey, Wilson, Andre, Leela, Colin, Jennifer, Samir, Brent, Ricky, Selena, Edward, Chris, Wayland. Let's see here if there are any more. Jeannie, thank you. Anwar, thank you. Farah Ali, $1,000. Thank you so much, Farah. That is amazing. I'm just scrolling down here. Let's see. I think that's it. So we have people who will match. If somebody can match a $500 donation, we've got somebody who says they will match a $500 donation if somebody wants to drop in $500. We have almost 8,000 people watching in the chat. We've been on for 2 hours now. And we are gonna have to. Colin, thank you. Made $100 contribution and signed up for $5 a month. Monthly contributions are great. If you can sign up for $10 a month, $25 a month. I personally contribute to half a dozen candidates and other organizations. I'll tell you, like Climate Defiance, the people who are out there disrupting all of the politicians and all of the CEOs, and the congressional baseball game that 8 of them got arrested at the other day. I support those people, but I also believe that this political movement right here for the presidency is the one that needs to capture our attention the most. We've got to get the funding to pay our petitioners. 8,000 people at $10 right now puts us at $80,000, and we've met our goal, and we really, really need that money.
Big shout out to Mark Elborno, who just threw in $1,000. Thank you so much,
thank you.
Mark. And another shout out to Cindy R for 250, to Julian V for 100, and to Maura Mar,
Looks like Momar.
1,000. Thank
Another
you.
$1,000. Julian V, $100. Amazing. And remember, $250, up to $250 is going to get doubled by the federal government. Where does that money come from? When you file your taxes and it says, do you want to contribute $3 to the presidential election fund? There's a pool of money there that is for exactly this purpose when a campaign is strong like ours. And let me say, the other campaigns have not met the threshold for federal matching funds. We're the one who's getting federal matching funds. We're the one who's on the ballot in 23 states. We're the one who's fighting. The other candidates are not, as far as I know, not even competing for Illinois and Indiana. We got 42,000 signatures in New York. And so this movement, this campaign is the one that is going to be when people go in November and they look at their ballot and they say, I'm not going to vote for the 3 genocidal candidates. We're the one who's going to be on people's ballot across the country, and people are going to be able to make the decision. I'm going to vote for the one that has the biggest collective punch in this election. It is going to be us. Please, $10 from 8,000 people watching, and we've hit our goal. Thank you. Lawrence, $250. And that's Lawrence I know Lawrence A. Lawrence A is in my district, and he contributes to my campaign. So Lawrence, Larry, I appreciate it so much.
And
thank
Brittany,
you.
Brittany J just put in $500 per month. So thank you so much, Brittany.
Shout outs to Elena, Laura, Wendy, Julian, another Laura, Hebe, Brittany, $500 a month. Let's see here. What else? It looks like my chat locked up, so I can't see it anymore. Oh, there we go. Let's see. So Brady asked the question, would it not help to multicast this on YouTube and TikTok? I do think that we have this going on a number of different platforms, but I'm not the person who's in charge of social media. So our social media people out there, make sure this is going out on all platforms. I'm sure it is. Susan, Daniel, Maria, Melody, Joseph, Muhammad, Alex, Ria, Cindy, all contributors. Let's see here.
Mark is pointing
says,
out that $10 is just 2 Starbucks drinks that we don't buy anymore.
we don't buy Starbucks drinks anymore. If you're going to buy drinks, support your local coffee hut. Don't go to Starbucks. Starbucks supports Israel, and we want to make sure we hit them in the pocketbook. So thank you. I think we're going to go about 4 more minutes here. Can we do a big push? 8,000 people watching online, 160 people still here in the webinar. If you have contributed, you're amazing. Thank you so much. If you haven't contributed, please, in the next 4 minutes, make as I read some of the comments, like I'm laughing while I'm talking. Please make that decision tonight to help fund us. What is the purpose for our $60,000 goal tonight? It is to make sure that our crew in Chicago, and they're working all around the Chicago area, in Peoria, down in Springfield, in Decatur, in East St. Louis, they've got people all over the state of Illinois working for us. We need to make sure that they get paid. That is what we are doing here tonight. $60,000. We can get it if everybody who is watching us online who hasn't donated already simply kicks in $10. Are you willing to make that contribution, that commitment to the future, to the strength of this campaign? $10 from everybody watching, and we blow past our goal. Jill, final words?
Just courage is contagious. Keep standing up, keep fighting. We're going to keep pulling out all the stops here to stand up to empire and to shut down this genocide and demand an America and a world that works for all of us. All of our lives are on the line. I think that's why we're seeing so many young people really diving in to stop this genocide, because I think people really identify. They don't see a future for themselves in this world that has shut down for young people. Half of all young people now describe themselves as hopeless about the future. 1/4 of young people say that they've considered harming themselves in the last 2 weeks. We are being all thrown under the bus here by this abusive empire, by rising fascism, by the war on working people, by crushing inequality. We are at the end of the line. And what do we find at the end of the line? We find people like us, people of conscience and vision and community, are standing up, and we are coming together. And it's hard times all around. It's hard to be funding this when you can't pay, the roof, to keep the roof over your head. But we are enlarging, we're getting bigger and stronger all the time. And the energy that we are seeing is just astounding. We were in Fort Wayne, Indiana, like 3 days ago, and there was a really major, powerful rally against the genocide. What's that?
50 people in Fort Wayne at the Allen County Courthouse. It was powerful.
At least 50. It was amazing. And today here in Nashville, Tennessee, there is a really strong anti-genocide movement here in, deep Republican, deep red territory. This is going on all over the place. They don't want us to be organized. They don't want us to be seen and heard, because this is where the American people are. And by continuing to stand up and doing everything that we can do, we build this powerful movement. As Gaza goes, we all go. This is the future of human rights, which are being destroyed. This is the normalization of torture and murder of children on an industrial scale. We say no to that. This is whether we will have international law. We are no longer the sole dominant power in the world. We are going to need that international law so that the next dominant power doesn't start, bullying, abusing, invading, genociding us. We need international law and human rights. this is a struggle for all of us, and it brings us together, and it brings us into, a vision of a world that's going to work for all of us. This is the only future that we have. And we need to keep rallying, keep pushing the envelope. They are trying to stop us. They're trying to discourage and dispirit us. This is about recognizing the power that we have and continuing to build it in real time. Let's do this. Together, we are absolutely unstoppable. Let's keep it up. Thank you all so much tonight for being here, for your generosity, for your support. Let's keep it happening. Back to you, Jason, to wrap us up.
We're gonna wrap this up. Gonna do a few more shout outs. Tina, Timmy, Sandy, who, by the way, Sandy, if the person in the chat, I think it was Hazem, said they would match $500. Sandy did donate $500. So Hazem, we're gonna hold you to it. $500 match on Sandy's $500. And if you're not with us anymore, Hazem, we're going to track you down. We know where you are. Hazem is a good supporter, a good friend of ours from Indianapolis, but we will hold him to that. Philip, Isaiah, Patrick, and Valerie, thank you so much. And Kelly has said a special thanks to our Indiana crew, Pluto, Mitzi, Hazem, John in Indiana, who were there, who hosted us for 2 days in Fort Wayne, made us feel like we were one of the crew, one of the club. Absolutely amazing greens in Indiana. We're so grateful to them. And I want to say, as a final shout out to the people who spoke for us today, our special guests at the beginning of this event, Kwame, who is still with us. So thank you, Kwame. Kwame Shakur, who is a part of the crew, the organizing crew, who is putting people on the streets in Illinois. We are so very grateful, and we are so looking forward to working with you. And just so people know, this is not about just right now and just getting on in Illinois, or even just about this election. This is about building a movement for the future. This goes beyond what happens this summer, goes beyond what happens in November. This is the future that we need to build, for our kids. My kid just graduated. I missed my son's graduation 2 days ago because I'm out here on the campaign trail. That is how important it is. And I did have a talk with him, and it's okay. It's one of those things where you got to make that decision. You got to make that sacrifice, because what we're doing here is so important. Adam, Katton, amazing 15-year-old from Peoria area in Illinois, getting his friends out on the street to petition for us. Of course, the inimitable Ajamu Baraka, whose words are so powerful every time he speaks, and who has that vision and that clarity for what we need to do to take back our power. And of course, the wonderful and the brave and the now no longer a journalist at The Hill. And I'm sure she feels, while maybe disappointed in some ways, a lot more free now to speak her mind, because Briahna, believe me, Briahna is a revolutionary in word and in deed. And we're so grateful to have her on the team. We had some amazing speakers with us tonight, and thank everybody for hanging with us through this. I will say one more time, $10 from everybody who is watching, and we blow past our goal, and we get everybody who needs to get paid, who is working for us. Thank you so much. Jill?
Yeah, I'll just second that. $10 from everybody out there on social media who's watching.
JillStein2024.com.
JillStein2024.com. It'll be right there. If you throw in $10, or even if it's $5, you transform this election right here and now. If we all own it, if we all demand that we are not going to have a world that normalizes genocide, we're not going to have a world that's going down in the flames of climate collapse. We are not going to have a world of endless war that's going nuclear on at least 3 fronts right now, with the incredible war criminals that are running this country. People are ready to stand up and fight back. We are going to make that happen. The sooner we get down to it, the better. So everybody out there, just throw in $5 right now, and we are transforming this election. Let's keep it going. We'll see you back here soon. Keep up the fight. Thank you
Free
all so
Palestine,
very much.
free Palestine, all power to the
Palestine.
people. Thank you, everybody.
Power to the
Have a
people.
good night.
Thank you.